Hey, fifth grade scholars. Today's lesson 6. This is day 2. So we already did these previous pages of how we made the estimate of an idea of where our answer is going to fall. So let's just go ahead. If you need to go back to those pages and look, you can. So we are dividing 2-digit numbers this week or this day. A grocery store only sells eggs by the dozen. Okay, so we've got to know that word dozen. There are 12 eggs in 1 dozen. So think of your egg cartons that we get from the store. That's a dozen eggs or 12 eggs. If there are 624 eggs in stock at the grocery store, how many dozens are there? So our number is 624 divided by 12. When we model it, we want to remember that relationship that what you multiply and divide go together. Division undoes the multiplying. So they're asking you to think about 624 divided by 12 equals what? We don't know the answer yet, but I can turn that around and I can say, well, 12 times something is going to equal 624. So just like we did the previous math lesson, we make a table that's going to give us an estimate of where it's going to fall. So we know that we're dividing by 12. So I want to do a little table here that says 12 times 10. That's going to be 120. I'm trying to get up to that 624, so that's not close enough. What about 12 times 20? That would be 240. That's still not close enough to 624. What about 12 times 30? That's 360. Still not close enough to 624. 12 times 40 is 480. 12 times 50 is 600. And 12 times 60 is 720. So remember, I'm trying to find something for that big number of 624. I know that it's going to fall in between my 50 and my 60. So my answer when I get done with this division problem is going to be 50 something. Could be 50, 51, 52, 53, but it's not going to be 63 because that would be too many. That 60 gives us, if I take 12 times 60, that's 720. That would be too high. So I know it's going to be falling between the 50 and 60. Why did we use these tens? Well, because tens are easy to multiply by. We basically just add that 0 after we do the basic multiplication. So if we think about right here, the 20 times 12, it's basically saying, what's 2 times 12, which is 24? And then we add that 0 because we were multiplying by a 10. So now that we know it's going to fall between 50 and 60, we come down here and we start our little box table. We say 12 times something is going to give me 624. So I make it over here and I say, well, 12 times 50, we already did that up here, is 600. So if I take my 624 that I started with and I subtract that 600, I'm down to just 24 eggs. So now I know in my head that 24 is divisible by 12 and it's 2 times. So I would put my 2 up here and say, yes, 12 times 2 is 24. If I subtract that 24, I'm left with 0. I'm now done. And if you remember this part, oops, I got to get my marker. This right here is our answer. And so I add my 50 and my 2 and I get 52. This box is where we do all of our work, but our answer is what lands up on here on top. So I know that 12 times 52 is 64. So if I know that 12 times 52 is 64, then I also know that 624 divided by 12 is 52. Let's go down to the next page. The next page is doing the exact same thing, but we're not using those boxes. It's breaking up a number. It's doing a partial quotient. So remember, how many hundreds are in the dividend? There are 600. Let me get that. 600. How many groups of 12 are in 600? There are 50. So that's why we put this 50 right up here. This 50 where it says partial quotient. And then we subtract the 600 and we're down to 24. This partial quotient is written above the bar. So we're doing the exact same thing as the box. We're using the 50 first and saying, okay, let's subtract that 600. Then we're using the 24 and we know that that's going to be 2 times. And that little line says, okay, let's add up. 50 plus 2 is 52. The equation in this area model shows this. The partial quotient is written, it shows the 52. Why is 600 subtracted from 624? Because 12 times 50 is equal to 600. And so I need to take that away, that I've already used part of my big number. I've used part of it. So of my 624, I've used 600, and that would mean I have 24 left. How does the area model relate to finding the second part of the quotient? Well, the area model is like the second box. So this is my second box. It's saying that I have 24 left, which if I look right here, it said, oh, you have 24 left. So how is the area model like the second partial quotient? It's using the second box. It is finding a division equation that completes the remaining number. So it's finding a division, and that's why we think if we've got 24 left, I know that 2 times 12 is 24, and then I'll go down to 0. Explain how using the partial quotients, how to use the partial quotients to find 624. The same thing as the area. We want to find that number in the beginning that gets us close to 624, and then do the subtraction and find what's less. Describe how to use partial quotient. Just skip that one. Okay. Now they want you to try it right here. You have just learned about dividing a 2-digit divisor to solve these problems. Show your work on a separate sheet of paper. And that's actually what you're going to do, is work it out on a piece of paper today and then show it to me. If you're online, you're going to have to take a picture of it and send it to me. It says an elementary school has 1,134 seeds. The seeds will be planted in 27 rows. Each row will have the same number of seeds. How will the seeds be planted, and how many seeds will be planted in each row? So this is 1,134 divided by 27. The very first thing that you should do is get your table going where it's 27 times 10 equals 270. And then the next one is 27 times 20 equals 540. Oops, that's a minus, but I'm not. 540. The next one would be 27 times 30 equals, and that one's, I got 11, would be 810, I believe, if I'm doing that right. 27 times 40 equals, now why am I going to keep on going? Because I haven't reached this high number, this 1,134, and I want to get into that range before, so I know where to start. So you could actually use a calculator on this part right here, but it needs to be written out and showing your work. Okay, and then you're going to do the same thing with that one. I hope this helps you a little bit.